The story begins with Ziu searching for jobs when a strange website asks if he is bored and wants to truly live life. Suddenly, a portal-like thing appears on his monitor and sucks him inside of it. As he falls through the portal, a panel appears and congratulates him for making the correct decision, adding the fact that the God-tier leveling system will be at his service. Lin ends up in Starfire Academy, where warriors are trained to fight zombies and monsters. Just then, a student named Kiang kicks open Lin's door and throws him at the wall. After that, Kiang steps on his foot, saying that he embarrassed him in front of Jun after not showing up with his food this time, which is why Ziu deserves to die. Meanwhile, Ziu, who slowly starts gaining consciousness, notices that his hand hurts and wonders what's going on. He then sees Kiang and manages to get back on his feet, only to be kicked in the guts. Ziu once again crashes into the wall, and just then, all of his previous memories of this new world appear in his mind. This allows Ziu to find out that the body of the person he has acquired used to get bullied for not having cultivation talent, both by his classmates and the academy principal. Everyone around him looked down on him and bullied him to the point where he wanted to die. Now that Ziu has acquired this body, he needs to pick up the slack. On the other hand, Kiang notices the defiance in Ziu's eyes, which he finds pretty annoying, and punches Ziu once again for trying to act tough. But to his surprise, Ziu replies that he won't back down, which ends up making Kiang even more furious, and as expected, he rains down a flurry of punches right to his face. But even then, Ziu still refuses to back down and tells Kiang that ugly barbarians like him can only bully the weak. After all that tough talk, Ziu wonders why he didn't transmigrate with some kind of overpowered skill when suddenly, the system window appears, informing Ziu that his Fury charge is completed. Furthermore, it asks if Ziu wants to use the Empower Strike, and Ziu ends up agreeing. At the same time, Kiang is about to land the most brutal punch on Ziu's face, but Ziu returns the favor by throwing a punch of his own using the Empower Strike. His ability overpowers Kiang's and breaks every bone present in his arm. Kiang is then sent flying into the wall, and after that, all he can do is beg his lackeys to take him to the infirmary. Without wasting any time, those two run away with the red-haired gorilla on their backs. This makes Ziu glad that they left, as his tough guy act would have been blown if they hadn't, considering how his arm is not in the best shape either. The system window once again appears, and this time informs Ziu that he gets a chance to draw a prize for defeating the opponent. After Ziu accepts, a wheel appears in front of him. Hoping to win some alliance credits, Ziu spins the wheel, because with the savings he's got, even buying a single Band-Aid could bankrupt him. Luckily, the wheel stops at 10,000 alliance credits, which is exactly what he wanted. With that being said, Ziu heads to the infirmary in order to treat his wounds. There, the hot blonde mommy nurse recognizes him, and when Ziu is surprised to see her recognize him, she comments that everyone knows Ziu, the student ranked dead last at Starflare Academy. Ziu then asks her not to call him Little Lin, as it sounds strange, and after agreeing to his request, she tells him to take off his clothes and lie down. After that, the nurse puts him in the healing pod and asks the price range of the healing solution he prefers, to which Ziu replies that he wants something worth 9,800 alliance credit. While she prepares the healing solution, Ziu thinks about how the host of his body was worse than he imagined and figures that he must have been bullied a lot. But he is confident that from now on, he won't be bullied anymore. With that being said, the healing process begins, and it is said to take 5 hours for the process to be completed. On the other hand, Ziu's classmates are present in the class, and the teacher informs them that 20 students will be going to Area A20 for field practice, and all beginner warriors from their class will be participating. After that, he asks them about Kiang and gets told by his friends that he is currently in surgery. Confused, the teacher questions the reason and gets informed by them that he got folded by Ziu. Hearing this confuses the others, as they can't believe he got beaten by that stick figure. But those guys reassure the others that they are telling the truth, as they were there when it happened. The teacher decides that Kiang won't be joining them at the field practice when unexpectedly, Ziu appears and asks if he can go instead. Everyone is shocked to see him and starts discussing how something feels a bit different about him. Meanwhile, The teacher tells Ziu not to be impulsive as Area A20 is too much to handle for someone like him. Simultaneously, another student lets him know that Area A20 is where zombies and mutated demons are present, asking if he wants to become a monster feed. Ziu smirks and wonders if he can join the practice if he manages to beat him. That guy questions about the army Ziu will be bringing but gets told that it will only be him who he needs to fight against. This results in him slamming his hand on the desk in anger, accepting the challenge, and telling Ziu not to get cocky just because he managed to beat Kiang. After that, Ziu uses the skill named Deep Insight to find all the stats of this guy named Jun, and notices that he's slightly weaker than Kiang, which means beating him is possible if he carefully dodges until his fury fills up. Later that day, all their classmates gather around the duel arena, discussing the fact that Ziu has lost his mind. One of his classmates questions Ziu if he's sure about fighting Jun as he's a beginner warrior, to which Ziu replies that he wanted to beat him up for a long time. Seeing him step on the stage, Jun compliments Ziu for having the courage to show his face, and without wasting any time, he charges Ziu to land a punch. Even though Ziu manages to block the attack, he realizes that the punches are causing his entire body to ache. Nonetheless, Ziu continues to flawlessly dodge all the attacks, which is according to his plan as he's waiting for his fury bar to fill up. The spectators also start to mock him for dodging the attacks, but the teacher is more focused on the fact that Ziu doesn't seem flustered at all, and that this is the first time he has seen such grit in his eyes. Eventually, the fury bar ends up filling, and a notification asking Ziu if he wishes to use the Empower Strike appears. With that, both Jun Xu and Ziu try punching each other, and as expected, Ziu overpowers him and sends Jun flying and crashing outside the ring. Everyone, including the teacher, is shocked to see what just happened, while Jun, who has started to bleed, tells Ziu that he is nothing but a loser. Ziu reminds him that he is the one who got beaten and says that it makes him the ultimate loser. The teacher orders the other students to take Jun to the infirmary, so it doesn't affect his combat training in A20, and compliments Ziu for what he just did. Ziu, calling him Mr. Luo, asks if he can join the practice in Area A20 now. Apparently, Area A20 is located in the north of the city, contaminated by nuclear waste where monsters and zombies are found on every corner. But at the same time, this can be used for the benefit of humans, as many parts of the monsters' bodies are precious, especially the heterocrystal that expedites a warrior's cultivation. After they arrive at the practice zone, the teacher informs them about the blades and suits they have been given, adding the fact that it shouldn't be a problem for them to deal with zombies thanks to them. But as they will be facing them directly, the students will need to overcome their inner fears. Only being on the field can test the abilities of these students and strengthen both their minds and spirit. The potato head of their class asks Ziu if he's nervous, but he refuses. As to him, the zombies are nothing but valuable XP that he can use to level up. Following that, the teacher announces that 20 of them will be teaming up into groups of 4, but advises them not to go that deep into Area A20. One of their group members tells Ziu not to hold them back, but his newly formed friend takes Ziu's side, saying that they should be the ones who need to stay careful. Just then, Ziu tells them to shut up as he notices some movement nearby. Furthermore, he warns them about the upcoming threat, and before long, a Grade 1 zombie appears in front of them. Seeing the zombie charge them, Ziu checks his stats and finds out that they are higher than his, even though that zombie is a low Grade 1. But knowing that he needs the XP and experience, Ziu runs towards the zombie and cuts it into 2 pieces. The system congratulates Ziu for eliminating the zombie and rewards him with 200 XP. Additionally, he levels up to level 2 and gains 2 potential points. For the time being, Ziu decides to spend these potential points to increase his strength, and while he's busy messing with the system, his friend warns him to watch out. Ziu looks back and finds 3 more zombies running towards him. However, one of his teammates decides to fight this time instead, and manages to easily eliminate all 3 of them. His friend calls him incredible for taking all 3 of them down, to which he agrees, and mocks Ziu for acting like a deer in front of headlights. However, Ziu is more pissed at not getting the XP he could have gotten rather than the insult, and suggests they keep moving. Soon after, they hear footsteps nearby and the purple-haired dude decides to fight this time. Meanwhile, Ziu, who uses his analysis skills, finds out that the zombie is actually the chief, who is much stronger than the others, and advises his friend not to fight it. At the same time, the guy, who is prepared to fight that zombie, freaks out after seeing remarkable speed, and it doesn't take long for him to be caught by the zombie. Just when he is about to get his arm severed, he appears and kicks the zombie in the face to protect his friend. After the zombie falls onto the ground, he gets on top of it, prepared to end it once and for all. At the same time, Ziu advises him to eliminate that zombie in one blow or it might summon more zombies, considering it's the chief. But he completely ignores everything Ziu says, letting him know that he doesn't need lessons from a loser like him. Unfortunately, he fails to eliminate that demon and only manages to sever one of its arms. This gives that zombie the chance to let out a loud roar and summon the zombies as Ziu had predicted. Before long, a ton of zombies appear out of nowhere and surround them from all directions. After seeing all those zombies, he begins shaking like a cracked-out chihuahua, and without wasting any time, he decides to book it. That beluga whale also advises Ziu to run away as there are too many of them, but in Ziu's mind, this is exactly what he wanted. If he can eliminate all these zombies, he will be able to level up several times. That being said, Ziu dashes towards the zombies and while believing that he will be able to win, starts slashing those zombies. His friend starts to question if this is the same Ziu he knew and wonders if he really needs to risk his life. Suddenly, one of the zombies tries attacking him, and after beheading that zombie, he decides to give Ziu a hand. Just then, the zombie chief appears behind Ziu and pins him on the ground. It then opens his mouth wider than a Karen in the manager's office and almost bites Ziu but luckily fails. Instead of being scared, Ziu gets furious at that zombie and just in the nick of time, notifications about the level-ups and potential points appear. Seeing that he leveled up thrice in a row and gained 12 potential points, Ziu puts all of them into strength. Thanks to this, he gets more ripped than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and after grabbing the zombie's head, he rotates it like a Beyblade. Now that it's unable to attack anymore, Ziu kicks it away and after grabbing his sword, beheads that zombie chief. He then leveled up to level 6 and was told that his gene lock had been opened. Afterward, Ziu notices that he only invested in his strength and to balance things out, spends 3 points in speed and 3 in constitution. Additionally, he remembers that gene lock means the large portion of human genetic fragments that are not used. Legends have it that if the gene lock in the body is open to the maximum, that person could become a godlike existence. Wondering how powerful he will be, Ziu orders the system to unlock his first gene lock. But just as he opens the first gene lock, an error appears, saying that gene unlock is currently unavailable as his level is under 15. Ziu finds it quite frustrating, but seeing how it's only level 15, he is confident that he can attain it by eliminating a few more demons. Just then, his friend asks Ziu if he's the same Ziu he knew as he has suddenly become stronger and even managed to eliminate the zombie chief. With a smile on his face, Ziu mentions that the zombie chief was a piece of cake for him, and with that being said, he suggests taking a look inside. Soon after, they notice a sign signaling the beginner warriors to stop, and Ziu figures that this seems like the restricted zone Luo mentioned. However, Ziu realizes that he won't be able to gain more experience as he didn't see a single zombie on the way and wonders if he should go deeper. Just then, his friend calls his name and points towards something, letting him know that it's a python. After taking a look, Ziu realizes that it's a grade 3 color-changing python, but for some reason, he is unable to analyze its stats. That python then lunges at them, and after managing to dodge the first strike, Ziu decides to run away. But to his surprise, the python begins following him, making him question the reason it's not going after the bigger guy. Meanwhile, his friend who is still present at that spot figures that the python isn't after him. Not only that, but he also notices that Ziu ended up running deeper into the ruins, somewhere their teacher told them not to go. Luckily, Ziu manages to hide from the python but is aware that he can't relax as the python has the ability to camouflage itself and could be hiding somewhere, ready to attack him. Suddenly, someone points a weapon at him and tells Ziu to freeze. It turns out to be a group of people, and judging by Xiu's clothes, they instantly realize that he must be a student of Star Flare Academy. Xiu nervously lets them know that he was just passing by, but he is aware that they are adventure squads that hunt zombies and monsters to attain materials and heterocrystals. One of those guys then notices Xiu's sword and tells Xiu to go away and let them have the sword. However, Xiu argues that without a weapon, he won't be able to survive in such a place. That guy doesn't take this well and almost cuts him down, but just then, Xiu yells and tells him to look behind. Apparently, the same python seems to be present behind them, and without wasting any time, it ends up eating one of the squad members. Everyone starts to freak out after realizing that it's a 3-grade monster, but one of them reminds them that its heterocrystals and skin are probably worth millions. Hearing this motivates the other dudes as well, while Xiu, who is watching the fight from afar, finds it quite idiotic to fight such a monster over money. Furthermore, he realizes that he needs to grab his blade and get out of there as soon as possible. Simultaneously, one of the squad members manages to attack the python's neck while the other one jumps on its head. But just as he is about to attack, the python sprays acid on his body, burning that man alive. The leader of that squad then orders his men to attack the python's head, and after a well-fought battle, the leader manages to defeat that python. While he's busy hitting that celebratory emote, Xiu slowly walks toward his blade. Unfortunately, he notices Xiu and confronts him for luring that monster here. Additionally, he orders Xiu to skin the snake and dig out its heterocrystals for him, or else he will be neutralized. But Xiu mentions that bossing him around when he's injured, and the only one left alive from his crew seems pretty dumb. Furthermore, Xiu reassures him that he'll skin the python and dig out the heterocrystals, but will be keeping those for himself. This results in him getting furious at Xiu and trying to attack with his sword, but to his surprise, Xiu easily dodges the attack and informs that guy that he doesn't care about his special force. Furthermore, Xiu cuts his arm off, causing that guy to back off and question how dare Xiu touch him as he's a Zhang. However, Xiu replies that he doesn't know any Zhang and all he knows is that they just tried to eliminate him, which is why he won't be sparing them. With that being said, Xiu ends up eliminating him and gets 2500 XP as a reward from the system, along with 7 potential points for leveling up to level 7. As this is his first elimination of a warrior, Xiu will be getting a chance to draw a prize as well. But for the time being, he decides to put all his 7 points into speed and constitution in order to balance his stats. After that, he begins skinning that snake and ends up finding the heterocrystal. Apparently, these crystals can power some machines and even help warriors become stronger. Not only that, but he manages to find 2 more heterocrystals in the backpack of those guys, and with that, Xiu is now ready to head back and join his team. But just then, he notices that he is currently in the danger zone, and knowing that he can't stay here much longer, Xiu decides to hurry up and leave. Suddenly, a loud growl catches his attention, and judging by the sound, he figures that something extraordinary has appeared, and to his shock, it turns out to be a lightning panther that is grade 4. Once again, Xiu realizes that he can't read its features or stats, and decides to run as fast as he can. However, Xiu stops after witnessing the appearance of a hot chick with 2 big caramel cannons named Yu. Surprisingly, she is also a grade 4 warrior, and just like before, Xiu is unable to read her stats as well. With that being said, she throws an attack at the panther, which the panther manages to tank and counterattack by trying to jump on her. However, Yu easily dodges that and hits it with her sword, causing the panther to crash into a nearby tree. Xiu finds her strength pretty impressive and vows to become even stronger than her one day. The panther begins bleeding, unable to move, and just as Xiu thinks that the battle might be over, the panther roars and charges up a lightning attack. Even though Yu puts her sword in front to block the attack, the force generated by that attack sends her flying off the cliff. This makes Xiu wonder if the girl is dead, and he can't believe that the panther played dead just to give that girl a fatal blow. But just then, he noticed that it wasn't playing dead and fought back just before dying. Thanks to this, an idea appears in Xiu's mind, and he decides to finish the panther to get the reward and take its heterocrystal. Following that, he sneaks towards the panther, and just when he is about to land the finishing blow, Xiu notices a presence and looks back. only to find another lightning leopard staring into his soul. Without wasting any time, Ziu decides to run as fast as he can, remembering the fact that male and female leopards hunt prey together. The panther begins chasing him as well, while all Ziu can do is try to make her believe that he isn't the one who turned her into a widow. Ultimately, he reaches the cliff end with nowhere else to go, and seeing that the panther is still behind him, Ziu takes out his sword, warning the panther not to come any closer. But that panther couldn't care less and tried attacking Ziu, and instead of fighting back, Ziu jumped off the cliff as he'd rather fall to pieces than become that panther's lunch. Luckily, Ziu ends up falling into a river and is glad that there were trees to slow down his fall, or he would have been a goner. Just then, he notices Yu lying in the river, right next to him, and instantly goes to check up on her. After picking her up, Ziu finds out that she's still breathing and is just unconscious. With that, he puts her under the tree's shade and wonders how could such a young girl be a grade 4 warrior already, and figures that she must be a talented disciple from a big family. After that, his tummy begins to growl, and luckily, there seems to be some fish in the river. Later that day, Ziu enjoys eating the fish he caught, still in nothing but his underwear since all his clothes are soaked. Just then, a blade comes flying towards Ziu and lands in the tree right next to him. Ziu freaks out and yells at Yu, but she seems concerned over the fact that Ziu is not wearing his clothes and asks if he tried to cop a feel or two. However, Ziu replies that he dragged her out of the water, and if it was not for him, she would have drowned and been fish food. Yu gets surprised after hearing that he saved her, and Ziu tells her not to worry as he won't hold it against her. Annoyed, Yu calls him shameless, to which Ziu replies that her voice sounds nice even when she's roasting him, and offers her some fish. He further says that there aren't any medicines around to treat her injuries and advises Yu to replenish some energy by eating the fish. After that, he introduces himself, and so does Yu, asking Ziu what he wants as she doesn't like to owe people and wants to return the favor as quickly as possible. Ziu is shocked to see her attitude even though he just saved her life, and ultimately tells Yu to make him as good of a warrior as she is, only to be told by her that he's got no aptitude. At night, Yu goes to sleep while Ziu is wide awake, excited to draw a prize from the system he got for eliminating that warrior. With that being said, he spins the wheel and prays for the prize to be a weapon. However, the wheel slows down near alliance credits like last time, which makes Ziu furious, but to his surprise, it ends up stopping on the grand prize. He instantly switches up and begins celebrating. Turns out the grand prize he got is a skill card that can only be made by warriors of grade 6 or above. Skill cards are classified as bronze, silver, gold, and diamond. But Ziu doesn't seem to be impressed, as this card is merely a bronze card and is for spear skill, which is the most difficult. But after taking a closer look, Ziu was shocked, as this kind of card is even more precious than a diamond card as it upgrades with the user's cultivation. Now the next step is to choose a suitable spear as his weapon, but they are pretty hard to master and much more complex than staff and blades. At the same time, Yu sees Ziu sitting on his own and asks the reason he is laughing like a freak. Furthermore, she questions if he hears anything, to which Ziu agrees and mentions that it seems like someone is coming. Yu figures that it must be an adventure squad, and knowing what happened last time, Ziu suggests getting out of this place as they don't know if that squad is friends or foes. However, it's hard for Yulu to walk on her own due to her wounds, and having no other choice, Ziu tells her to hop on his back. When Yulu asks if she gave him permission to carry her, Ziu admits his mistake for not asking and adds the fact that he can't leave her, as who knows what those squad members might do to a busty chick like her in the dark. Soon after, that squad appears on the spot where these two were camping and figures that they shouldn't have gotten far. Their leader orders his men to find those other warriors and get rid of them. While carrying Yu, Ziu mentions that she's pretty heavy and should consider losing a few pounds, to which Yu replies that she's not the one heavy but the sword she's carrying on her back. Just then, Ziu stops, and when Yu asks what's wrong, Ziu lets her know that there is a grade 2 monster in front of them. Even though it's a grade 2, its stats are merely 670, which is easier for him to handle. To his surprise, Yu tells him to use her sword, and after taking a closer look, Ziu can't help but praise how awesome it looks. But as soon as he holds it, Ziu realizes that it's heavier than his dad's regret for not using protection that night. Additionally, he remembers that Yu has been using this sword with only one hand, which makes him realize the skill difference between the two of them. Yu then tells him to cut the chit-chat and take care of the monster. Furthermore, she informs him that the serpent in front of him excels at fighting in the dark and advises him to follow her command. With that being said, the serpent begins moving, and Ziu begins to panic as it's so fast that he barely sees it. Nonetheless, he begins following Yu's command, and after she tells him to turn around and attack, Ziu somehow manages to stab the serpent in its head. Seeing that he was having so much difficulty dealing with a serpent, Yu mentions that he really does have poor aptitude. Meanwhile, Ziu takes his anger out on the poor serpent by flipping the bird. However, the serpent doesn't appreciate Ziu's behavior, and after purposefully beheading itself, the serpent manages to bite Ziu on his hand. As expected, he begins to panic but ultimately throws the head on the ground and steps on it to eliminate the serpent once and for all. Following that, he gets the reward for eliminating that monster from the system and begins searching for the heterocrystals. But just then, he realizes something and asks Yu the reason she didn't warn him about the serpent's ability to separate its head from its body, to which she replies that he never asked. Suddenly, the arm where the serpent had bitten started to hurt, and Ziu remembered that its teeth were supposed to be venomous. Before long, the venom begins spreading and his whole body begins feeling itchy. Yu remembers that the serpent poison has some kind of aphrodisiac poison that makes people excited. To help him out, she advises Ziu to go and take a dip in the pond, to which he agrees and runs while trying to hide his embarrassment. After jumping into the pond, Ziu is relieved and begins enjoying the water while Yu is waiting for him, wondering why he hasn't returned yet. Just then, someone calls her out from behind and Yu gets up, warning that guy to leave or she'll eliminate him. They turn out to be the same adventure squad members from before who are aware of Yu's injuries, as they saw her falling from the cliff while fighting that panther. Furthermore, he has already figured out that she must be from a big family and mentions that he has a kink for girls like her. Yu calls him a scumbag and tries charging him, but he makes her trip using his foot and advises Yu to quit the unnecessary resistance. Yu informs them that she indeed is from a big family. But the squad leader seems to appreciate this, as he always wanted to lock lips with such a lady. He then begins coming closer to her, ready to get freaky, when suddenly, Ziu appears and asks the squad if they are looking for an early demise. When the squad leader asks who he is, Ziu reveals the leader's name, that is Liang, along with his stats and the stats of all his comrades. The leader, Liang, gets freaked out to see Ziu guess their stats so accurately without using a power detector, and Ziu warns them to leave within 5 seconds. Without wasting any time, Liang, along with everyone else, runs for their lives, thinking that Ziu must be a bit shot. Afterward, Yu asks Ziu about how he knows their information, but Ziu refuses to tell her, saying that a magician never reveals his trick. Meanwhile, it doesn't take long for those squad members to realize that they have been duped, and Liang, who is now furious, can't believe that he was tricked. Knowing that Yu Lu is injured, Liang figures that they must have gone to the periphery of the restricted zone and orders his men to guard that area. On the other hand, Yu asks Ziu the reason deeper, as the evolved beasts are more powerful here, to which he replies that sometimes the most dangerous place is the safest. He further elaborates that those warriors will be guessing that they will leave the restricted area to treat Yu's injuries and are most likely present there. This makes Yu mention that he might be weak, but he isn't dumb, and Ziu asks if it's so hard for her not to dampen his spirits. The next morning, Ziu finds Yu Luo sleeping in his arms and figures that he will be done for if she finds out. Just then, Yu wakes up, but instead of getting angry, she lets him know that there's an evolved beast nearby. She manages to smell it in the air and suggests getting out of their spot. Ziu then asks if she has recovered from her injuries, but Yu disagrees, saying it might take 2 more days, which is why he will be fighting using her sword. But when Ziu argues that the beasts around here are probably at least grade 2, she replies that he won't improve without fighting strong enemies. The beast in front of them seems to be a grade 2 boar, and Yu informs Ziu that its weakness is its abdomen, and the only thing they are good at is ramming directly. With that, The boar begins charging him, but Ziu easily manages to deal with it. As days pass, Ziu realizes that he has already eliminated 30 beasts and under Yu's command. He even took out 2 grade 3 beasts, which raised his level to level 9. Following that, Ziu asks Yu if she's sure she doesn't want any of the heterocrystals, and she disagrees, letting him know that they will part ways as she's fully recovered. But when Ziu reminds her that those guys are waiting for him at the periphery of the restricted zone, Yu mentions that it's none of her business. Ziu then reminds her that those guys are attracted to her and asks about her plans after leaving this place. Yu replies that she is going to find the other Lightning Panther, and when Ziu questions if she still wants to eliminate that thing, Yu agrees, saying she won't miss this time. Additionally, she warns Ziu that she will eliminate him as well if he's weaker than her the next time they meet. Ziu gets annoyed, telling her not to bite the hand that fed her, and asks where she's going, to which she replies, telling him that she's headed to the sanctuary. Later that day, Ziu arrives at the entrance of the restricted area and figures that those guys must have left by now. But just then, someone tries to attack him, and it turns out to be one of those warriors who tells Ziu that he will find out the consequences for making a fool out of them. Realizing that he's alone and is a grade 1 warrior, Ziu decides to get over it before the others arrive. With that being said, the warrior attacks Ziu with a special ability that Ziu barely manages to block, and starts wishing he had a spear right now. That warrior finds out that Ziu is a beginner with no skills and begins charging him once again. But just in time, Ziu's fury gets fully charged, and when the system asks if he would like to use the Empower Strike, Ziu agrees. With that, he tries kicking that warrior's crotch, and when that warrior tries stopping the kick using his arm, the force behind the Empower Strike breaks all his bones along with those family jewels he was trying to protect. While he struggles to get back on his feet, Ziu easily eliminates him and levels up to level 10. Not only that, but he also unlocks a new skill that allows him to increase his stats for the next 10 minutes. But the drawback is that after those 10 minutes, there will be a state of extreme exhaustion for 5 minutes. While Ziu is busy messing with the system and his stats, the other warriors surround him, and Liang can't believe that Ziu managed to eliminate one of his crewmates. Even though Ziu makes sure to talk tough, he is well aware that his chances of winning are pretty slim. With that being said, they all begin charging Ziu at once, and having no other choice, he decides to use the new skill he just acquired. After using the Rampage skill, he instantly gets out of that position and can't believe his speed, strength, and constitution all increased at the same time. Liang is shocked to see what just happened and wonders how Ziu's aura suddenly increased. Following that, Ziu moves further back using his increased speed stats, making all of those warriors confused. Nonetheless, Liang orders his men to split up and search the area while Ziu, who is hiding behind a tree, realizes that he only has 5 minutes left to make use of this skill and decides to make it quick. Just then, he notices one of those warriors having a spear in his hand and without wasting any time, jumps on him. After defeating him, Ziu acquires that spear, which allows him to use the skill card he unlocked at that time. Unluckily, another warrior notices him and informs Liang about Ziu's whereabouts. While Liang dashes towards their location, that warrior tries to fight Ziu on his own. To his surprise, Ziu uses that bronze card skill named Phoenix Fury and with a single strike, eliminates that warrior flawlessly. Liang, who just managed to reach that spot, is shocked to see him defeat his comrade in one move, but this makes him even more furious, and he charges Ziu along with some other warriors. All 3 of them use different skills to harm Ziu, but Ziu masterfully blocks all 3 of their attacks while thinking how Phoenix Fury is so physically demanding on his body. While blocking their attacks, his Fury bar begins filling up, and since he's fighting all 3 of them at once, the bar seems to be filling rather quickly. Soon after, one of the warriors asks Liang if Ziu really is a beginner, to which he replies that Ziu must be using some skill to increase his strength. However, he is aware that this sort of skill doesn't last that long and can lead to a state of exhaustion. This means as long as they trap him here, Ziu will surely go down soon. Just then, a notification informing Ziu of his Fury bar fully charged appears, and he decides to use the Empower Strike at once. With that, he charges Liang, and his attack manages to break Liang's weapon, making him wonder how this blow can be so powerful. After that, Ziyu prepares to deal another blow, only to realize that the time of his skill is over and he doesn't even have enough strength to pull the blade. Seeing him fall to his knees, Liang lets out a devious smile and comments about how the fates are on his side. Afterward, he dashes towards Ziyu to end his life when suddenly, some attacks Liang which he barely manages to dodge. The person who attacked turned out to be the thick nurse of Star Flare Academy, and when Liang asks about who she is, the nurse replies that a chopped fellow like him doesn't deserve to know her name. Furthermore, she warns them to get out of her face on the count of 3 as she won't mind eliminating a few scumbags. After they leave, Ziyu notices that the school doctor is actually a grade 4 warrior, and thinks about how he didn't use his deep insight before as he thought she was an ordinary person. Following that, she praises him for eliminating 3 grade 1 warriors and almost defeating a grade 2 as well. When Ziyu asks what she's doing here, the nurse replies that she tagged along to treat injured students and mentions that there are some new healing solutions she'd love to test on him. However, Ziyu freaks out and reassures her that he's fine. But after seeing that he has no strength, the nurse offers to give him a hand, but knowing that he might not be able to control his third leg after getting so close to her, Ziyu lets her know that he can walk on his own. On the other hand, all the students are gathered after completing the training and teacher Luo is impressed by how they all have improved after the training. But after looking around, he notices that Ziyu is not present and asks Yang about him. Yang replies that they encountered a grade 3 python, and Ziyu ran into the restricted area in a moment of desperation. Luo freaks out after hearing this while that coward, Yi, begins making fun of Ziyu. This ends up making Yang furious and he almost strikes Yi, but Luo stops them. Jun advises Luo not to wait for Ziyu as he is most likely dead when suddenly, Ziyu appears in front of them, asking Jun if he wants to be taught a lesson again. Yang is glad to see Ziyu while Jun is a bit annoyed regarding the fact that he's still alive. Luo then asks Ziyu if he's all right, to which he agrees. However, that bootlicker of Yi mentions that Ziyu probably hid somewhere and didn't even eliminate a single beast. This results in Ziyu asking if they subjugated a ton of them, and he informs Ziyu that Yi slaughtered 8 grade 1 beasts. After hearing this, the whole class begins complimenting Ziyu, talking about how awesome he is. But Ziyu questions if heterocrystals from 8 grade 1 beasts are a lot, and dumps all the crystals from his bag. After taking a closer look, Luo finds out that there are a total of 24 crystals and 3 of them are grade 3 beasts. Everyone is shocked after hearing this, and can't believe Ziyu was able to eliminate a grade 3 beast. Yi, who is having a hard time believing this, complains that Ziyu must have cheated, but Luo replies that there's no way he could cheat, as 3 of these stones are worth more than 1 million, and it's impossible for a student to have such bread. With that being said, Luo suggests everyone return and have some rest. He further includes that they can't sell the heterocrystals through the official website as they are not warriors yet, and will have to rely on the tavern owner to buy it from them. Later that day, all the students gathered at the tavern, selling their respective heterocrystals to the tavern owner. Ziyu complains about being last in the line, to which Yang replies that he will hog up all the time as he has more crystals than all of their class combined. Eventually, it's Ziyu's turn, and even the tavern owner gets shocked seeing those grade 3 crystals. When Ziyu asks about their price, the tavern owner replies that one of them goes for 500,000 credits, which in total is 1.5 million, but after including his other crystals, Ziyu will be making up to 2 million credits. While the tavern owner begins working on transferring Ziyu the credit, another student appears and pushes Ziyu out of the way. That person turns out to be Chen, who begins looking down on Ziyu for being from Class 29. Ziyu realizes that they are from Class 1, and most of their class members have already advanced to prospective warriors. Currently, Chen is 108th in the school's power rankings, and he's here to sell 10 grade 1 and 1 grade 2 crystals. After announcing the crystals he has, Chen lets everyone know that being able to eliminate a grade 2 beast is a sign of strength, and then asks around if the loser of the class Ziyu is here. Ziyu steps up and informs him that he is the loser, asking the reason he cuts the line and insults him. Furthermore, Ziyu tells him to apologize now or learn how it feels to be radioed in real life. Chen gets furious after hearing this and tries punching Ziyu, but at the same time, Ziyu goes for a counterpunch as well. As soon as both their fists collide, Chen is forced to get back and think how he didn't expect Ziyu to be this strong. After that, he tries to kick Ziyu, but Ziyu manages to dodge and in return knees his chopped face, causing his whole class to cheer for Ziyu. Chen gets impressed by his moves as well, but lets Ziyu know that he has made a mistake by pissing him off. With that being said, Chen begins using his bronze skill called the Raging Fist, but Ziyu easily manages to dodge all of it, which in return charges his Fury Bar. Meanwhile, Ziyu's classmates begin to wonder how Ziyu got so powerful in just 3 days, but at the same time, are aware that a top-rated student won't go down that easily. Chen mocks Ziyu for doing nothing but dodging his attacks and goes for another strike. This time, Ziyu tanks that fist, making everyone worried and Chen's friend confident that it's over. But to their surprise, Ziyu manages to stop his attack, which charges his Fury Bar to the max. However, this time, he decides not to use the Empower Strike as he wants to beat Chen using his own strength. With that being said, Ziyu twists his arm and breaks all bones into bite-sized pieces. Chen backs down due to pain and all his classmates get ready to attack Ziyu. But at the same time, Ziyu's classmates also stepped up, prepared to tackle the other class. Chen's friend tells Ziyu that he didn't have to go that far, to which Ziyu replies that Chen used a bronze skill, and if it were a normal person, they could have been seriously injured. Just then, the tavern owner intervenes and informs Ziyu that the money for his 3 grade 3 crystals has been credited to his account. Hearing this shocks Chen Su's friend, and he can't contemplate how this dweeb is so strong. Following that, Ziyu asks if they still want to take revenge for his classmate, reminding him how eager he is to start a fight. Before he gets the chance to reply, the teachers of their academy appear and one of the Class 1 students instantly rats out to them. Luo also asks Yang to inform him about everything that happened. After Yang informs everything to Luo, Luo scolds Ziyu and tells him to apologize while thinking how what Ziyu did is actually good, as those students are always looking down on them. With a smirk on his face, Ziyu sarcastically apologizes to Chen, reassuring him that he will pay the medical bills as he has a ton of money now. Even though they are pissed at his apology, they can't seem to say anything in return, while all of Ziyu's classmates and Luo can barely hold their laughter. The other teacher also decided to let it go as Ziyu apologized and told the other students to take Chen back for medical attention. As Chen walks away, he challenges Ziyu to join the upcoming combat competition, to which Ziyu agrees. After they leave, Ziyu's whole class begins praising him for showing those students their place, saying that they won't be looking down on their class from now on. Luo then tells everyone to forget about this and meet him at the power tester. Soon after, all the students appear at the power tester, where Luo wants to check their stats to see how much they improved after the field training. Q, the CEO of Glazing, decides to go first and finds out that his stats are around 450. After that, many other students check their stats, and ultimately, it's Lai Zhang's turn. To everyone's surprise, his stats turn out to be around 675, which is enough for him to become a prospective warrior. Hearing about this makes Ziyu think about how a beginner warrior's stats range between 300 to 600, while it's 600 to 800 for prospective warriors, and 800 to 1500 for grade 1 warriors. Now that he has become a prospective warrior, Luo gives him permission to start cultivation tomorrow. Apparently, the reason warriors are so strong is due to cultivation. Warriors absorb the source energy from the air through cultivation to strengthen themselves. Now it's Ziyu's turn, and while he walks toward the power tester, Q begins making fun of him, saying that a loser will always be a loser. Yang replies, asking Q if he's capable of breaking Chen's arm, and instead of admitting his fault, Q mentions that it was just a fluke. Nonetheless, Ziyu stands in front of the power tester, ready to show everyone the strength of the Academy's #1 loser. Later that night, Luo calls both Yi and Ziyu to his office in order to discuss the direction of their development in the future. As the two of them are prospective warriors, he wants them to consider the type of weapon they wish to use. Meanwhile, all you can think about is how Ziyu got a power rating of 676, higher than Yi. Luo was happy about having two prospective students in his class, but he still refused to believe that Ziu was stronger than him. Back in the present, Luo informs them that the skin of beasts above grade 3 has been mutated to the point that even bullets or laser weapons can't pierce it. However, they have collected a special metal from other planters, which allows them to cause extensive damage to those beasts. Suddenly, Ziu interrupts and tells Luo that he will be going for a spear, and while Luo agrees that it is the king of weapons, which is extremely powerful, he also warns Ziu about how difficult it is to master this weapon. However, Ziu is sure about his choice, which results in Luo handing him a card with his data recorded, telling Ziu to go to the library and receive the basic spear techniques and cultivation. Additionally, he questions the reason Ziu is going for a spear, to which he replies, asking Luo about the weapons those top 10 warriors use. Luo lets him know that the first-place warrior Dongfang and second-place warrior Tols both use swords. This makes Ziu tell him that there aren't any spear users among the top 10, and before Luo gets the chance to reply, Ziu runs away. Talking to Ziu makes Luo realize how ambitious Ziu is, making him believe that he might become a big shot one day. The next day, Ziu takes the skill cards for spear techniques and cultivation from the library and figures that he only needs a handy spear now. As he can't shop online due to the fact that he's not an official warrior, Ziu decides to test his luck in the school store. There, the Temu copy of Wolverine asks Ziu about the kind of weapon he likes and gets told that he would like to buy a spear. The shop owner tells him to take a look and hands Ziu a spear that weighs 45 pounds and is made out of iron from a meteorite. But Ziu thinks that it's too light, and even after the shop owner shows him one that weighs 77 pounds, Ziu still believes that it's too light. Afterward, that guy gives him a 100-pound spear that is made from a star ore, but to his surprise, it's still too light for Ziu. Ultimately, the shop owner loses his cool and decides to give Ziu a spear that's heavier than his mom. Since that spear is too heavy, no one wants it, and it has been gathering dust. This one was built with the mother stone of a star ore and weighs around 143 pounds. Its sharpness and toughness are unmatched, and the spear is called Silver Soul. After holding it for the first time, Ziu realizes that it's just the perfect weight and decides to buy this one. The shop owner lets him know that it costs 1.5 million credits, but since it hasn't been sold for so long, he will give it to him for 20% off. Hearing about the insane price of this thing, Ziu asks if he can pay in installments, but the shop owner refuses. Having no other choice, Ziu is forced to pay with the bread he risked his life for, while the shop owner enjoys seeing Ziu's face after all he put him through. Afterward, Ziu finally starts the cultivation process and thinks about how only warriors can feel this source of energy and breathe it into their bodies. After he is done with his first cultivation, Ziu decides to check his stats and finds out that all of his stats increased by 2 points. This comes as a surprise to Ziu, as before, they could only be improved by the system. Just then, a notification appears, asking Ziu if he wants to enter the prize draw for August. This reminds Ziu that the system has a monthly prize draw and spins the wheel. As he just spent a load of money on a weapon, Ziu hopes to get anything except for weapons, and to his surprise, the wheel stops on a thing called the Rapid Improvement Package. Following that, a gift box appears in front of him which contains a bunch of useful stuff. Afterward, the system asks if he wants to enable rapid improvement, and after thinking about it, Ziu agrees. The system then tells him to put on the rapid movement gear, and he complies without asking any more questions. Just when Ziu begins to wonder how this is going to work, the rapid improvement system gets activated, and the weight of all the gear he has put increases several folds at once, causing Ziu to fall onto the ground due to the heavy weight. The system informs him that the left and right wristband weighs 45 pounds while the left and right ankle weighs 55 each. In total, Ziu is currently wearing 290 pounds of gear. Ultimately, Ziu gives up, and knowing that he won't be able to handle this much weight, he decides to give up. In response, the system hits Ziu with an electrical charge, letting him know that disengagement is prohibited as the rapid improvement is not completed. It further advises Ziu to get used to it tonight, or he will be crawling like a chihuahua after getting neutered. Additionally, the system tells him that he will be getting 25 potential points after completing rapid improvement, which comes as a surprise to Xiu, and he instantly accepts the challenge, mentioning how crawling is the easiest thing in the world for him. The next morning, Xiu is finally able to stand after crawling in his room the whole night and is currently practicing walking around the academy's track to further get used to these weights. Just then, someone taps his shoulder, which seems to be enough for Xiu to fall onto the ground. Furious, Xiu looks back, asking who it is and why they did that. But to his surprise, it turns out to be an adorable chick named Xuenger who asks Xiu if he's sick or something. Realizing that the huzz is in front of him, Xiu begins playing cool and tells her that he is just lost in thought. After that, he pats her head and mentions how he hasn't seen Xuenger for 2 years, ever since he got into high school. She informs him that it's almost time for her high school entrance exam, so their teacher is taking them to visit several schools to see which one they like. This makes Xiu question if she's going to apply to this school because he is here, only to get humbled by Xuenger, who lets him know that it's not because of him. Just then, another person appears and asks Xuenger if Xiu is her old neighbor. That person turns out to be a guy named Ping with an insanely hideous hairstyle who asks if Xiu is the person called the biggest loser in the academy. Xuenger gets angry and asks what he means, to which Ping replies that he can't help but want to spar with Xiu, who's 2 years older than them. To his surprise, Xuenger agrees to spar with him instead, but Ping replies that he doesn't want to hurt her and asks Xiu if he's scared. As expected, Xiu disagrees and tells Ping that he'll make his wish of getting beaten a reality. Although Xiu is currently wearing 290 pounds of gear and can't move freely, he is confident that handling a bunch of small fries shouldn't be a problem. With that being said, the sparring session officially commences, and Ping instantly runs towards Xiu, wanting to land a kick. However, Xiu easily blocks it by kicking him as well, forcing Ping to step back and use a different approach. This time, he uses his bronze card skill named Rising Palm and manages to strike Xiu in the chest. Xiu is aware that he could have easily dodged it, but carrying an extra 290 pounds makes it harder. Ping continues striking him on the chest, causing the spectators to mock Xiu for being a weakling. At the same time, Ping starts getting worried as he's unable to beat him but gets locked in after realizing that the baddie is watching and decides to knock Xiu to the ground under any circumstances. With that being said, Ping tries landing another hit, but this time, Xiu manages to grab his arm and asks Ping if he has heard the saying, "Anyone who harms others will face the same fate." Ping starts to freak out after hearing this, but it's already too late as Xiu decides to teach him a lesson and ends up breaking his arm. Ping falls to the ground and begins struggling due to the pain. Xiu takes this as an opportunity to kick him in the face, causing Ping to go flying and crash into a nearby wall. His friends instantly gather around Ping, asking if he's all right, and to their surprise, he seems all right enough to still give Xiu threats. Confident, Xiu tells him to bring it on, completely unaware of the dude charging him from the back. Even though Xiu manages to notice him, it's already a bit too late as that guy punches Xiu, causing him to crash into the wall as well. Tian, Ping's big brother, then walks towards Xiu, and seeing him reminds Xiu that he is ranked 100th on the school power rankings. Tian then tells Xiu that he will be breaking his limbs for breaking his little brother's arm, and even when Xiu tries to get out and dodge, the weight on his body makes it impossible for him. Tian punches him once again, and just in time, Xuenger appears in front of Xiu, telling Tian not to hurt him. However, Tian doesn't seem to care if there's a girl in front of him and tries punching her as well, but Xiu manages to push her away, takes the punch right to his chest and falls to the ground. Afterward, Tian lets him know that he's finished and crushes his left hand. Furthermore, he decides to go for his right hand next, telling Xiu that he won't be able to relieve himself ever again. Suddenly, someone yells at him to stop, and that person turns out to be Luo. However, Tian completely ignores him and goes for Xiu's arm. Seeing that Xiu is not listening to him, Luo tries to attack Tian in order to stop him. Luckily, this works, and Tian is forced to back off. Luo then questions Tian's actions, asking why he's trying to bully his junior. Tian explains that Xiu broke his brother's wrist first and Xuenger intervenes, saying that Ping was the one who wanted to spar, and during the spar, he even fought dirty and wanted to eliminate Xiu. Ultimately, Luo mentions that the academy will be investigating it further, and Tian lets Ziyu know that it's not over and advises him to watch his back. To his surprise, Ziyu straight up challenges Tian to a showdown in 3 days. Luo tells Ziyu not to be stupid, saying that he's no match for Tian and that he might even eliminate him. Xuenger also tries to stop Ziyu, but he reassures her that he'll be fine and asks Tian what he thinks. As expected, Tian instantly agrees, saying that he's going to deal with him for good in front of the whole school. Before long, the news about this showdown spreads far and wide, and all the students start to discuss how Ziyu will probably get beaten to a pulp. Meanwhile, Ziyu is present in the infirmary where the nurse, Ryuashui, tells Ziyu to take off his clothes for a full physical checkup. Ziyu then asks her about the healing potion she used as it works like a charm. Ryuashui, with her fun bags on display, reveals that it's her family's healing potion that's currently not on the market. Additionally, she advises him not to get cocky and go through with the showdown as Tian's family is very powerful and not someone he should be messing with. But when Ziyu argues that he was the one who made the first move, Ryuashui finally gives him, saying that this is him, and gives Ziyu a bronze skill card with the skill Exploding Fist. Confused, Ziyu asks if it's free as it must cost a fortune, to which she agrees, telling Ziyu that she found it on the library floor. Additionally, she warns him that if his body is not strong enough, this skill can wreck his arms. Luckily, she also gives him a healing potion, so he doesn't have to worry about that as it helps accelerate his training for the Exploding Fist. With tears in his eyes, Ziyu makes sure to thank her, and Ryuashui replies that under her watch, he won't die so easily. Later, Ziyu began training the new skill, Exploding Punches, and while Ryuashui said that it can inflict internal damage, currently, Ziyu is only experiencing external damage. But thanks to the potion she gave him, he is able to continue his training. Not only that, but Ziyu also levels up thanks to the cultivation and gains 11 points with which he can improve his stats even more. However, the rapid improvement is not over yet, and while he has adapted to the weight, he can currently only perform at 80% of his power. The next day, it's finally time for the showdown, and everyone from teachers to students is gathered to watch the match. As expected, everyone seems to be cheering for Tian, and surprisingly, both the teachers who have taught Tian and Ziyu seem to be having a back and forth of their own as well. With that being said, the duel finally begins, and Tian asks Ziyu if he wants to play dead or die by his hands. Ziyu replies that he won't go easy on Tian even if he gives up, which makes Tian furious, and he charges Ziyu with his sword in hand. Simultaneously, Ziyu takes out his spear and manages to block the attack, but the brute force behind Tian's attack still manages to injure him a little bit. Tian lets Ziyu know that he can't withstand the sword and hits him with another of his skills. Although Ziyu works as hard as he can to block all these strikes, some of them get past his defense and manage to wound him. Yang comments on how Ziyu is getting overpowered, but Yi replies that while Tian's attacks look overwhelming, it's not doing much damage to Ziyu. Meanwhile, Tian is starting to get frustrated after seeing Ziyu parry all his attacks and ultimately decides to use the bronze skill called Blazing Strike. Ziyu realizes that he can't take this attack head-on, and the Empower Strike is not available as well. This leaves him with no other choice but to use Phoenix Fury, which comes as a shock to Luo as he can't believe Ziyu has such a powerful skill with the flame source power. The collision between both their attacks ends up in an explosion that sends Ziyu crashing to the ground. Tian mocks him for going down while trying to hurt him, while the only 3 people supporting Ziyu start to worry about him. But to their surprise, he instantly gets up, reassuring them that he's fine. Suddenly, a notification appears, informing Ziyu that the rapid improvement has been completed and he has been awarded 25 points. Additionally, his Fury is also completely charged, which allows him to use Empower Strike. With that being said, Ziyu puts 21 points into Strength and 4 into Constitution. As he removes his weight, Luo realizes that Ziyu was fighting with the weights this whole time. However, Tian doesn't seem to think much of these weights, but as soon as those weights drop on the floor, they make a pretty loud sound. Judging by the sound, Yang figures that they must be pretty heavy, and Luo adds that the real battle has only just begun. Ziyu also lets Tian know that it was just the warm-up, and realizing that Ziu has been playing with him from the start, Tian can't help but get pissed. With that, he charges Ziu, telling him that he will be paying for his arrogance, but to his shock, Ziu disappears from in front of him and appears behind in a matter of seconds. Furthermore, he swings his spear, but even though Tian somehow manages to block the strike, the force behind the attack is enough to put cracks on Tian's sword. As the fight continues, Ziu begins gaining confidence, and so do the people supporting him who believe that Ziu looks like a different person after taking off those weights. Eventually, Ziu decides to use Phoenix Fury again, and while wondering how a loser can have such a powerful skill, Tian strikes to block the attack. But this time, the Phoenix Fury skill completely overwhelms Tian's skill, and after breaking his sword, sends Tian flying away. Everyone starts to wonder if Tian got defeated, and if Ziu is the new top 100 ranked warrior. But to their surprise, Tian still refuses to go down and drinks some of Sydney Sweeney's bathwater, which turns him into a real-life Hulk. Ziu shouts at him, confronting him for taking banned substances, but Tian doesn't seem to care and uses the bronze skill called Fracturing Fist. Luckily, Ziu manages to dodge the punch, and after backing away, he tries attacking once again, but to his surprise, Tian ends up catching his spear. Afterward, he kicks Ziu in the gut, sending him flying, and then throws his spear at him. Having no other choice, Ziu is forced to use Exploding Punch to avoid getting stabbed by his own weapon. Meanwhile, Luo can't believe that Tian used an Alphys, and when Yang asks him what Alphys is, he replies that federal soldiers used this substance to enhance human strength for a short time. But the drawback is that it damages their tendons and bones and muscles, which results in loss of cultivation. Afterward, Luo complains about Tian using banned substances and suggests stopping the fight, but Tian's teacher argues that there are no such rules, and after checking with the officials, the host agrees and decides to continue the showdown. Just then, Ziu notices the head of the Tang family, Mubai, sitting in the audience, and as he's a major shareholder of the academy, the school has to listen to him. Meanwhile, Ziu continues getting beaten to a pulp and gets told by Tian that without his weapon, he doesn't stand a chance. But Ziu replies, asking if he believes he can only wield spears, and ends up activating the Rampage ability that gives him a stat boost for 10 minutes. With this, he dashes towards Tian and starts fighting him on an equal level. All the students are shocked to see Ziu hold his own against someone who used a banned substance, while Tian also gets frustrated regarding the fact that Ziu is not dead yet. Soon after, Ziu dodges one of Tian's attacks and in return uses Exploding Fist to strike Tian's arm. Confident, Tian mentions that he can't penetrate his tough skin, to which Ziu replies that his target was his internal organs from the start. Just then, his arm explodes from within, shocking everyone as they are sure that Ziu should have been dead, or at the very least, his arms should have been destroyed after using this skill. Tian finds it hard to believe that Ziu was able to master the Exploding Fist within 3 days, and Ziu replies that he did, which will result in his victory. Still not wanting to accept this outcome, Tian tries striking him once again, and this time, Ziu decides to end his life once and for all. Suddenly, someone uses their skill to send Ziu flying away. After getting a hold of Ziu, Luo along with others realized that it was none other than Mubai himself who couldn't accept the fact that Ziu tried eliminating a Tang. Luo reminds him that both sides already signed a waiver before the battle, and not being able to say anything in return. Mubai lets Ziu know that he'll remember him, and with that being said, Ziu is officially the victor of the showdown. The next day, Luo knocks on his door, and after opening the door, Ziu asks the reason behind this visit as he's already dead from the fight. Luo informs him that he has bad and good news, asking which one he wants to hear first. Ziu decides to go with the bad one and gets informed by Luo that the school has decided on his punishment. Confused, Ziu asks the reason behind this punishment, and Luo replies that as Mubai is the stakeholder and Ziu almost eliminated Tian, it brought shame to people in charge like him. Since their family couldn't do anything about the showdown match, they pressured the school to punish Ziu for bullying junior students. Annoyed, Ziu asks about the punishment and gets told by Luo that he will be forced to join the soldiers of Star Flare City in their annual extermination operation in Light Fortress. Apparently, Light Fortress is a location where a nuclear incident caused all humans and soldiers to mutate. Realizing that the zombies and monsters there must be pretty powerful, Ziu believes that a ton of XP is waiting for him. With that, he agrees to go, but Luo warns him that it's not a laughing matter as the death rate of soldiers has reached up to 70%. However, Ziu replies that he has already made up his mind and asks Luo about the good news. Luo then informs him that he is the new top 100th ranked student, and as a reward, he gets a silver spear skill named Storm Blossom. Ziu gets overjoyed, and Luo elaborates that this skill was created by a former spear master who was able to do 100 stabs in 1 second. Dreaming about doing something like that excites Ziu, and he promises to get to that level one day. Lastly, Luo advises Ziu to come back alive as he's a talented young man, to which Ziu agrees. Later that night, Ziu is out buying a new academy suit when someone suddenly attacks him. He barely manages to dodge by ducking. Who do you think attacked Ziu? Comment loser if you'd like a part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.